It's Nolan. What's going on, y'all? It's the kid J Nolan here. Now, today we're going to be talking about Jam Master Jay, okay? It's been approximately 22 years since his murder. It's finally been solved. Unfortunately, it seems that those that are responsible for the murder of JMJ are people that were close to him. Of course, we know Jam Master Jay is a legendary hip hop icon from the iconic group Run DMC. So we definitely got to put plenty of respect on his name. Run DMC is responsible for a lot, for influencing hip hop, for crossing over hip hop into the rock and pop worlds, bringing Adidas into hip hop, the iconic look, the leather jackets, the fedora hats, you know what I'm saying? They brought the street look into hip hop, which today artists are still trying to permeate and still trying to, interpret into their own way, as far as street fashion and culture in hip hop. So, although y'all may not know about Run DMC like that, although y'all may not know who Jam Master Jay is like that, he is somebody who played a very integral role in the development of this culture that we're all partaking in today, enjoying the music, watching the music videos, letting the storylines play out. Everything that happened in today was influenced and contingent upon what these guys did back in those late 70s, early 80s, going into the 90s. All right. So here we are. Let me go ahead and pull up my article here. So boom. Jam Master Jay murder, two men convicted nearly 22 years after Run DMC rapper's death. An anonymous Brooklyn jury found two men guilty of murder in the 2002 shooting death of Run DMC star Jam Master Jay just yesterday. During the trial, prosecutors alleged that Carl Jordan Jr. and Ronald Washington killed the famed DJ as an act of revenge for a failed drug deal. The pair were found guilty on charges of murder while engaging in a narcotics trafficking conspiracy and firearm-related murder, right? Now, as this was brought out, someone in the courtroom said, "Y'all just killed two innocent people." That's what Washington yelled at the jury following the guilty verdict, according to the Associated Press. Now, Washington is one of those that have been convicted. He yelled at the jury saying, "Y'all convicted two innocent people, or y'all just killed two innocent people." Now, I don't know if he meant that him and Carl Jordan were the innocent people that are being killed, being that they're about to be sentenced probably to life in prison, or if there's innocent people out on the street that will be killed on the heels of them actually going into the prison. I don't know. He wasn't able to clarify his statement, but that's what he yelled in the courtroom. Now, of course, Jam Master Jay, born Jason Mizell, he worked the turntables in Run DMC as it went from hip-hop group to pop music giants with mainstream fame in the 1980s, with hits including It's Tricky and a fresh take on Aerosmith's Walk This Way. Later, Mizell started a record label, opened a studio in his old Queens neighborhood, and helped mentor young stars like rapper 50 Cent. Now, 50 Cent gets a lot of credit for working with Jam Master Jay and vice versa. However, I think it's very important to note that Jam Master Jay had his label JMJ Records long before he ever met or decided to work with 50 Cent. He actually had some successful artists on his label prior to dealing with 50 Cent. And although 50 is his biggest protege to come out of that camp, I want to give him credit for everyone that he worked with as well. Okay, so the label JMJ Records was founded in 1989. Okay, the label released such artists as the Afros, Fam Lee, Onyx. Although East Coast hip hop is not the taste anymore, you cannot talk about hip hop and not talk about Onyx. I'm sorry. When it comes to slam, when it comes to stuff like Shut 'Em Down, when it comes to songs like god damn, the songs are starting to evade me, but y'all know the screaming, the bald heads, like they brought that bald head look into hip-hop, which was duplicated by others later. They had multi-platinum gold albums. They actually were one of the groups that helped introduce DMX into the public eye with the Shut 'Em Down record. Onyx was actually responsible for bringing 50 Cent around and putting him out there in the late mid 90s. So they have a lot of history, and they're still around, they're still rapping, they're still touring, they're still doing a lot, and they came in on the heels of Run DMC and Jam Master Jay. Okay, so boom, that's that. JMJ released their albums Back the Fuck Up, which went platinum. He also signed rapper J.O. Felony from San Diego, California, who, you know, he's kind of not super famous, but known enough on the West Coast, a West Coast legend. He also signed female rapper Sugar, aka Sweet Tea, whose single What's Up Star was included on the soundtrack for the show, which is a popular hip hop film. In 1996, Jay took under his wing a young Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent, whom he allowed to use the professional equipment in a recording studio and gave him his first real opportunities for performances in front of an audience. In 1997, 50 Cent released on JMJ Records his debut single, The Glow / The Hit, under the name 50 Cent. In 1998, 50 took part in the recording of the song React, which was on the third album of Onyx, Shut 'Em Down. Jam Master Jay produced the debut album for 50 Cent, which he had planned to release under JMJ Records. However, after a frustrating writing process and several production delays, the album was postponed and never saw the light of day. So the version of Get Rich or Die Trying that we heard that came out with Dr. Dre, Eminem and such was a totally different album by the time he got there, right? To date, there are very few remnants of 50 Cent's early work with JMJ. However, Jay's mentorship helped 50 get the close attention of several executive producers from Columbia Records who appreciated his talent and signed him to their label in 1999, which is a deal that also folded shortly after he got shot. Okay? So we're just going over some history here. We're going to jump back into the actual case, but, you know, a lot of people only really care about Jam Master Jay as it relates to his relationship with 50 Cent, so we had to put that in there, right? Now, Mizell was shot dead in his studio, in his own motherfucking studio, in his own spot where he's giving opportunities to young artists to come use his equipment, use his studio, come learn how to write songs, how to record songs, how to become professional artists. He's giving the platform to them, not taking anything from these guys. And he was killed in his own motherfucking studio while trying to help people in Queens, New York, which is his hometown. Jam Master Jay's cousin says guilty verdict lifted 2,000-pound weight off of his shoulders. Relatives of Mizell welcomed the verdict and lamented that his mother was not alive to see it. They say, I feel like I was carrying a 2,000-pound weight on my shoulders, and when that verdict came today, it lifted off. This is Carlos Thompson, who's Jam Master Jay's cousin, who wiped away tears after the verdict was read. He said the wounds can now start to heal. Furthermore, it's no mystery why it took years to indict and arrest the defendant, says Breon Peace, the top federal prosecutor in Brooklyn. They told reporters that he said key witnesses were terrified that they would be retaliated against if they cooperated with law enforcement. Their strength and resolve in testifying at this trial were a triumph of right over wrong and courage over fear. Defense lawyers said that they asked the judge to set aside the verdict and acquit them. They say, my client did not do this, and the jury heard testimony about the person who did. That's what Mr. Washington's lawyers pled to the judge and jury, saying they're still going out with the defense that they're innocent. Now, like the killings of rap icons Tupac Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G. in the late 90s, the Mizell case remained open for years. Authorities were flooded with tips, rumors, and theories, but struggled to get witnesses to open up and come forward. Jordan, who's 40, was the famous DJ's godson. Nigga, we helped raise you. We helped bring you into the world. We kept you around, looked out for you, probably gave you money, ice cream, all type of shit. And this is the motherfucking thanks we get. Okay, Washington, 59 years old, was an old friend who was bunking at the home of the DJ's sister. Nigga, you sleeping at my sister crib, so clearly, I don't know if y'all was in a relationship or if she was just looking out for your damn badass, right? But you played a role in this shit too, and these are people that are close to home, people that were close to the vest, that y'all are being looked out for and accounted for in some type of way. You're the DJ's godson, and then this other nigga is sleeping, chilling at the home of JMJ's sister. Both men were arrested in 2020 and pled not guilty, so they had plenty of years of just living in their fucking best life, trying to figure things out while knowing they played a role in this shit. They say 20 years is a long time to wait for justice, from Assistant U.S. Attorney Artie McConnell. Do not let this go on for another minute. The men's names, or at least their nicknames, have been floated for decades in connection to this case. Authorities publicly named Washington as a suspect back in 2007. He, meanwhile, told Playboy magazine in 2003 that he was outside the studio, heard the shots, and saw Little D, which is one of Jordan's monikers. Again, Jordan is one of the convicted. So his nickname, Lil D, was connected with the shooting, and he said he saw him race out the building shortly after those shots rang out. Prosecutors contend that the two men turned on him over a cocaine deal. Now, why do prosecutors say two men killed Run DMC's Jam Master Jay? They say Mizell had been a part of Run DMC's anti-drug message, delivered through public service announcement and such lyrics as "We are not thugs, we do not use drugs." So this is back in the 80s, early 90s. Run DMC was an anti-drug group. They did their best to try to advocate against the use of drugs. However, they're purporting that Jam Master Jay did somehow find himself racked up in debts that kind of forced him to become a cocaine middleman to cover his bills and habitual generosity to friends. So based on his overhead, because Run DMC was very famous, I'm sure they made a lot of money in their heyday, which means that they racked up expenses, got homes, built studios, did all of these different things, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be a great steward with your money. Plus, they say that he was very generous to his friends. So we could see that just from these godsons and people crashing at his sister's crib and shit like that. He had a heart to help people, started his own labels, decided to sign artists and try to invest into artists and help them develop. So we can see that he had a generous heart. They say he was a man who got involved in the drug game to take care of the people who depended on him. Prosecution witnesses testified that in Mizell's final months, he had a plan to acquire 10 kilos of cocaine and sell it through Jordan, Washington, and a Baltimore-based drug dealer. But the Baltimore connection refused to work with Washington, according to testimony. Washington and Jordan went after Mizell out of vengeance, greed, and jealousy. So I guess because the guy in Baltimore didn't have any interest in working with them in this drug deal, I guess they retaliated. I guess the money that they were supposed to gain in partaking in the deal, now that was no longer on the table. So then they started to conspire against him in their own selfish plot. Right? Washington and Jordan, again, went after him out of vengeance, greed, and jealousy. That's what the prosecutors alleged. Two eyewitnesses, former Studio A Uriel Rincon and former business manager Lydia High, this is the former business manager of Jam Master Jay, by the way, testified that Washington blocked the door and ordered High to lie on the floor. She said he had brandished a gun. So she was an eyewitness that saw what happened, and she said that she witnessed herself, this guy Washington, blocked the door and ordered High, who is Jam Master Jay's manager, he ordered her to lie on the floor while he brandished the gun. So he's holding up the studio. Rincon identified Jordan as the man who approached Mizell, aka Jam Master Jay, and exchanged a friendly greeting moments before these shots rang out, and one bullet wounded Rincon himself. So he greeted him, in a friendly manner, I guess to basically line him up and make it seem like everything was all good. Shortly thereafter, shots rang out. He ended up hitting Jam Master Jay. Another bullet that he shot hit himself. 3 other people, including a teenage singer who had just stopped by the studio to tout her demo tape, testified that they were in an adjoining room and heard, but did not see what happened. Now, defendants Carl Jordan Jr. and Ronald Washington did not testify in the Jam Master Jay trial. Other witnesses testified that Washington and Jordan both made incriminating statements about the killing after it happened. Neither Washington nor Jordan testified. However, their lawyers did question the credibility of key prosecution witnesses and their memories of the long-ago shooting. They noted that some of them had first denied that they could identify the attackers or had heard who were there. So these people were scared. They were intimidated. They didn't want to speak. And now the lawyers of these 2 idiots were basically saying, hey, how could these people really recall any of this when in previous years they said that their memory was foggy? They say virtually every witness has changed their testimony 180 degrees. This is what one of Washington's lawyers, Susan Kelman, told the judge. The witnesses also said that they had been overwhelmed, reluctant to pass along secondhand information, or they were scared for their lives if they ever were to speak up. So this is why they feel like the information was inhibited or being withheld, because they didn't want to be retaliated against and face bodily harm or family harm. Washington's defense also brought in a retired psychology professor who testified that people's recollections of any event can warp what they experience and subsequently learn. Okay? Now, the trial did shed light, or limited light, on a third possible defendant and a third possible assailant in the murder. This person goes by the name of Jay Bryant, who was charged last year after prosecutors said his DNA was found on a hat at the scene. Prosecutors assert that he slipped into the studio building and let Washington and Jordan in through the fire door in the back so that they could avoid buzzing up. So this person, Jay Bryant, allowed them to sneak into the building so that they could actually carry out whatever their plan was. Bryant has pled not guilty and is headed toward a separate trial, so he has his own fish to fry, and his ass might get fried the fuck up in the process as well. He may be the third motherfucker to go into the can. I ain't talking about sardines. Testimony suggested that he knew someone in common with his co-defendants, but there's no indication that Bryant was close with Jam Master Jay if they ever met. Bryant's uncle testified that his nephew told him he shot Jam Master Jay after the DJ reached for a gun, a scenario no other witnesses described. So this guy is claiming that Jam Master Jay, in their altercation or whatever happened, he reached for a firearm of his own. However, that story is not being upheld or consistent with what other witnesses have told the courts. McConnell said Bryant was involved, but he's not the killer. So y'all are willing to admit that he was involved, that he had some role, but y'all are saying he didn't pull the trigger, he wasn't the murderer. Prosecutors' theory doesn't even place Bryant in the studio. Interesting. However, that's where authorities found the hat with DNA from him and other people, but not the other defendants. So they trying to say that they don't place him at the studio, but there's also accounts that say he was the one that let them in through the fire door in the back. So which one is it, motherfucker? Still, McConnell suggested that Jordan or Washington could have accidentally left the hat behind after Bryant came into contact with it, but lawyers for Washington and Jordan portrayed the garment as a key piece of evidence in their client's favor. Jay Bryant is literally reasonable doubt, one of Jordan's lawyers, Mr. Michael Houston, told the jurors. Now, while this case may complicate Jam Master Jay's image, they say, which I don't think it complicates his image at all. He's been dead for 22 years. Nobody's tripping off of him selling cocaine. That's something that he did. Excuse me. It doesn't take anything away from his accomplishments in Run DMC. It takes nothing away from his accomplishments as an esteemed business person in the music industry, and it also doesn't take any of the generous acts that he actually invested into these unknown artists away from anything that he did. It does put a damper, on his situation, because many of us never knew that he was partaking in the drug game. But again, this is so long ago, nobody's even gonna remember that. He was tragically murdered in his own motherfucking studio by some flunkies. That is what fucks up the image. Okay, let's keep it going. While the case may complicate his image, Syracuse University media professor J. Christopher Hamilton says that it shouldn't be blotted out. If he was indeed involved in dealing drugs, that doesn't mean to say his achievements shouldn't be lauded. Exactly. Hamilton argues that acceptance from local underworld figures was a necessity for successful rappers in the 80s and 90s. Absolutely. They wanted the approval of the drug dealers, which is why they took on and portrayed the image of the drug dealers with those leather pants, with those leather jackets, with those jeans, those t-shirts, and those shoes and the hats. They were putting themselves in the position of the drug dealers, taking on the style, but also having an anti-drug message in their music to let y'all know that we could be cool, we could have swag, we could be the hardest niggas out, but we're not doing this from the angle of being gangster. We're doing this from the talent of being involved in hip-hop, rapping, DJing, breakdancing, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it shouldn't be blotted out. They say you don't get these individuals without them walking through the gauntlet of the street. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? So at this current juncture, 2 men have been convicted. there is a third person who is going to be set to take on their own trial, right? He may get off, he may not, Mr. Jay Bryant. If you let these niggas in and you play an accomplice or an accessory to murder, your ass deserves to go behind bars. Your ass need to be eating Jack Mac, tuna fish, and whatever they call that other shit that they be eating with that fucking noodle shit in jail. Your ass need to be in there for motherfucking life because y'all purported and came together to take an innocent man's life. Nigga didn't do shit to y'all. He was actually trying to help y'all sorry motherfuckers get some money because let's be real, y'all the ones that needed the money more than him, right? He was looking out for your down bad asses, trying to get y'all linked up with a nigga in Baltimore so that y'all could go down there, sell some shit, sell some crack, sell some cocaine and shit, come home, have a little money to take care of your weak ass family. The nigga out in Baltimore said, I don't fuck with them niggas, which clearly he made a great judgment call because who knows what type of shit could have went wrong fooling with y'all in the first place. And now we got this man dead 22 years, his murder finally being solved, and there was so much more that he had to offer to the world, to hip-hop, specifically to rappers coming out of Queens, New York, because there's so much motherfucking talent that came out of Queens, New York, so much talent that was coming out of Queens, New York during that time when Jam Master Jay was killed, and those that came after who he probably could have played an essential role in their development. All of that was taken away because of you sorry motherfuckers. I don't give a damn what y'all got to say. Let me know what y'all think though down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit the post notification bell for all updates, and I will see you guys on the next one. Y'all enjoy your day. Much love and respect, y'all. Peace.
King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming out swinging like soldier rag. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef for computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. With drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they doubted me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I been dropping these haters like calories. Cross them out, I came back with some batteries. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. Wanna catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.